This is the Fifth Estate winning headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 20th of February 2020 and I am 2J.
I'm 2.
I am DM. Let's take a look at today's headlines. On the Daily Nation, 100,000 teachers get pay rise in new deal. The Standard, politics of betrayal. And finally on the Star, 4 cops removed over a Chesa scandal.
Yeah.
You notice that the Star consistently says a Chesa scandal.
Yes.
Let's begin with the good news.
Oh, yes.
Good news, okay.
100,000 teachers get pay rise in new deal. So the Daily Nation is telling us that the pay rise will be implemented in 2 phases.
Yeah.
And it has been a long time coming because it is following the 2017 CBA agreement that the teachers struck with the Ministry of Education.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Macharia has told us that 7 billion has been set aside for this increment, and that 5,000 teachers will benefit. So their salaries will go from 27,195 per month to 33,994 a month.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
It's good news, but I still think it's quite low.
Well, look, if you have 100,000 teachers and you're getting a 7,000 increment per teacher, that's a lot of money.
It adds up. But you see, it's because that is the situation we find ourselves in now. But historically, we're just paying our teachers very low.
Can I ask a terrible question or make a terrible statement? As we know a lot with the Ministry of Education, sometimes you just have to wait for the other shoe to drop. And I feel like give it a couple of months, we might be hearing stories about how the money was not allocated or the money disappeared. I think that it's unfortunate that with the people who are teaching our children, we're not giving them the respect that they deserve. And I do agree. 7,000 shillings might be a lot in comparison to what they're getting, but they should be getting far more than that.
They should be getting. In fact, that led me to look at what other countries pay their teachers. Switzerland is at the lead with $77,000 a year. That is 7.7 million Kenya shillings a year. So an average teacher gets 600,000 shillings a month.
Wow.
An African country, South Africa, that is 30,000, so half of Switzerland, about $30,000 US a year, which comes to 3.3 million Kenya shillings a year. So they get 275,000 a month. That is for an average teacher. Our neighbor Uganda, 4,000 US dollars a year, which is 400k Kenya shillings a year and about 40k a month for an average teacher.
Still more.
Now I am not sure whether this
is gross.
No, ours is or the teachers that have gotten a promotion. If they are representative of the average teacher, or are they in the mid bracket, and there are many other teachers that are getting far less than that amount,
or far more.
I know that there are those who would get about 250,000 shillings that may be head teachers of tertiary institutions.
You know, I also think, I do agree, I think there's a little bit of disrespect to how we treat our teachers. Because I was saying in Sweden, for example, an MP earns $4,000 a month. They are entitled to 1 bedroom apartment, and that's it. And they're not paid a salary. No. They have house allowance, and they earn $4,000 a month. Primary school teachers in Sweden earn more than members of parliament. Now it's maybe for us to get our structure right, because they have no PS, they have no drivers, they have no bodyguards. Yet ours, we have bodyguards and everything, and yet you have donors paying for education.
That's true. Good story.
It is a good story. It is very optimistic and hopeful. We do have a 3-part criteria that we use to analyze the headlines for you. We ask, is the headline topical or speculative? Is it repetitive or is it groundbreaking? And finally, is the headline thoughtful or just plain lazy?
I'll give it to the nation for having a positive headline.
Absolutely. But again, if it's not politics, it is
education.
Absolutely. Now,
in the Standard,
politics of betrayal. And what the Standard is telling us is, or they're insinuating, is that William Ruto could be betrayed, going by the trends since independence. So we'll go back to the days of Jomo. You had Jaramogi, who was thinking he would be president one day. He fell off the wayside. You had Moi and Kibaki. You had Moi and Saitoti. You had Kibaki and Kalonzo. All those, the ones I've mentioned as VPs or DPs, once thought they'll be president, but they were betrayed. Now the Standard is telling
the
us
next step.
the next one in line is William Ruto. But again, as you keep saying, maybe Uhuru is fooling us, thinking that he's
it's
messing
possible.
with Ruto, you know?
Or both Uhuru and Ruto are in on the plan, and they're actually just good friends that are forestalling any further drama for 2022.
Yes.
My only issue, fantastic headline, love it. The story, though, I feel like is repetitive. In fact, they had done this story in a different way, but saying essentially the same thing almost 3 weeks ago. And I believe there are other people who've written similar columns,
cartoons. We know about the politics of betrayal.
So it's not
we
original.
have read about it in our history books. This is actually not an analysis or an interpretation, it's a regurgitation.
Finally, in the Star, 4 cops removed over a Chesa scandal. So what happened is that 4 cops who were known to be there the day they were on duty, the day that Chesa walked in with those foreigners, they were taken to DCI for questioning. They have since been suspended. But the story also talks about how the DP had made a comment before, or had made a request for an overhaul of his security personnel prior to this scandal happening. So I think he's trying to set up some kind of foundation or proof that these people may in fact be mercenaries, because I think he said that he feared for his life in his own office.
It's a very clever story.
Very clever.
And I have to say that out of the 3 newspapers, the Star has been giving us new things every day. And the reporting has been very good, because I think they have a framework. And the framework is to dismantle, deconstruct the company.
So much so, exactly. They went and they found that this company, Eco Advanced Technologies, EAT, they were registered in Kenya since 2006. But they went to go see the office where they claim to be registered, and it's a dilapidated office, unkempt. Doesn't look like it would be the office where a multi-million dollar or shilling contract would be signed.
And they're quoting Murkomen, who said that 39 billion shillings is a lot of money. People cannot sit in a waiting room in a government office and sign it without lawyers present, without witnesses present.
That's a great point.
But guys,
which is a point.
If it is true, this paper is owned by himself.
We know who owns the Star. We know who owns the Standard.
I would use it to great effect, like it's being used right now.
Of course. In the same way that the Standard is using their ownership to great effect.
Absolutely. But guys, let me ask you, have you heard the DP saying that he has never seen these people ever before? Have you heard him say that?
No.
He's only said on that
that he was not there. He worked from home and he went for a funeral.
But he has not denied ever meeting these people.
Actually, he hasn't.
He hasn't.
I think the only response that we have written is on his Twitter account, where he said there was a 23-minute meeting in which he was not present.
But he has not said, I have never met these people.
What are you trying to say?
I have never had a meeting.
But the DP knows that a rumor denied is a rumor confirmed, so he's not going to deny anything.
You think he knows that? He's already admitted.
On that note, can I toss the Daily Nation?
Toss the Daily Nation.
And I'd like to suggest that we divert from what we traditionally do. Could we give the winning headline, yes, to the Standard, but bin them for a rubbish story? Give the winning story to the Star and bin them for
a good story.
A good story, terrible.
But this show is not called The Winning Story. It's called The Winning Headlines.
Oh gosh.
Can I help
you?
The
Standard. And onto the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. And just like the headlines, we do have a 3-part criteria that we use to break it down for you. We ask, is the cartoon humorous or is it dry? Is it satirical or pessimistic? And finally, is it effective or is the cartoon just plain lazy?
Yes. And here is a caricature of the very heavy, what's his name? Kuro Court. He doesn't really like us. He's atop a dead, dying horse, and he's trying to flog it to wake up. And he has a cap written Punguza Mzigo. And I think the context of this, he is trying to restart Punguza Mzigo initiative.
Yeah, on Monday he tried to relaunch
I want to suggest that that's not a horse but a donkey.
Yes.
From the Punda Imechoka.
Did I say horse?
Pan.
No, it's actually a donkey. It's a donkey.
Yeah.
This motive of the donkey has been used over
so many times.
It's
again. Actually tiring.
Yeah. No creativity.
But let me tell you, I saw him with very well printed shirts and caps and all that. I don't think he's the one funding this thing. I think it's been
and we did say that last year. It's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we please toss this for being just plain lazy?
Yeah, very far.
In the Star.
The Star is Celeste. Caricature of Uhuru Kenyatta.
How do you know it's him?
It's the lip.
Yes.
And the goatee.
Carry on.
Of course, the red tie. And he's in between a ridge, I think. And he's trying to carry a bridge label BBI, which cannot fit. And both ridges are labeled Tanga Tanga and Kieleweke.
Yeah.
And the caption there is Jubilee's Great Rift.
A bit of a spelling error, but yes, we understood what Celeste was trying to say.
Yeah. He forgot to put the R.
Yeah.
I like this cartoon.
It's a great cartoon. It is.
The imagery is very humorous, and you can see the movement in the cartoon.
He's really trying.
Going from one end to the other with this small feet.
Who do you pick? Yeah.
Yes, but this is a slim Uhuru Kenyatta.
Oh my gosh.
And the standard, so we'll park that.
Oh, Gado, come on, honestly. It's a drawing of the corrupt figures he normally draws. You've got the fat cat, you've got the fox, you've got the pig, you've got the vulture, and the faceless person. And they're toasting it to the BBI. And what is he trying to tell us?
It's very unimaginative.
Boring, completely. All
And
right.
so who gets the...
We're left with Celeste, and I think Celeste does indeed
Deservedly.
deserve it. Great cartoon.
So the star gives us our winning cartoon. What is our final thought?
And now our final thought. This week we have been talking about African greats and titans in business and industry. And on Monday we did himself, Elhaj Aliko Dangote from Nigeria. On Tuesday we went to Zimbabwe and we did Strive Masiwa. Yesterday we did our very own James Mwangi. And today it's a lady.
Why do you have to say it like that?
It's a lady. I mean, aren't you happy?
Yes.
Are you not?
I am.
Okay.
That's why I'm smiling.
Okay.
And her name is Tabitha Carranza.
And again, she's one of our very own.
One of our very
right?
own. Yeah.
So Tabitha Carranza is a Kenyan businesswoman, entrepreneur, and industrialist.
Yeah.
In 20 years, she has emerged as a key player in the alcohol industry, which has mainly been dominated by EABL, East African Breweries. She's now the CEO of Keroche Limited, the first large brewery in Kenya that is owned by a non-multinational and also by a woman. So her business produces beers, wines, spirits under a variety of brand names, including Summit, Vienna, and Crescent.
Yes.
I know you said yes, like you're familiar.
Yes, I am.
Right, okay.
Even they are.
You're a patron. But I think as many of us know, her journey has not been easy.
Yeah.
For the past 23 years, she has battled monopolies, industry skeptics, high taxation, all in a male-dominated industry to create Kenya's business success story.
Yeah.
So she was born in Kijabe, where she grew up in a family of 10, and she was the firstborn. So I think leadership came naturally to her, and I can agree to that because I too am a firstborn, right? So soon after...
Of a family of two. You're leading one person.
Oh my God. Don't crush me, please. So soon after completing her education, Tabitha took up employment at the Ministry of Tourism as an accounting clerk for 2 years, and that is where she met her husband. But they eventually decided to move to Naivasha and start a hardware store, and they ran it together for 10 years. But while living in Naivasha, they noticed a gap in Kenya's alcoholic beverages market, and they decided to capitalize on it. And I'll quote her, she said, "The lower income market was neglected. People were often drinking whatever was available in their villages. So we decided to come up with a product that was hygienically produced, that meets international standards, and that was affordable." And so they started to do the fortified wine, and I think that's what she's primarily known for. But in 2007, the government enacted really heavy taxes on locally made wines. And so her product was eventually priced out. So she pivoted, which is what she's very well known for doing, and she began to make ready-to-drink gin, vodka, and that's what her state-of-the-art factory still makes today. So believe it or not, that was not the end of her troubles with the government. Year after year, she battled unfair taxes, court cases, and government raids. But Tabitha says that this has taught her to operate constantly under a state of crises. And that doesn't stop her from pushing forward towards her goal, but also stopping her from investing in the country. In 2013, her Naivasha factory began expansion to increase beer production from 60,000 bottles per day to 600,000 bottles a day. I think that's 110 million liters a day. And this factory expansion cost a reported $50 million. So ultimately, her story is of a woman who overcame many tribulations to establish herself as a serious player in Kenya's alcohol market, which is dominated by foreign multinationals. So currently, it's estimated that Keroche controls about 5% of the beer market in Kenya and 20% of the entire alcohol market. And in this time, she's managed to turn her small brewery into a company with turnover of $63 million and earned herself an estimated personal wealth of around 6.2 million shillings.
Wow, must be nice.
Billion.
Yes.
Billion shillings.
B with a B. Billion with a B.
Billion shillings.
You know, I read somewhere that when her and her husband were trying to, after the 10 years in the hardware industry, and they're trying to chart the way forward, what do we get into now before they saw the gap into the alcohol market? She said, so the choice was, should we continue with hardware or we get into alcohol?
Yeah.
And she said, how many times does somebody paint their house in a year? Let's get into a commodity that is fast moving and that is consumed every single day.
That's a brilliant answer.
Isn't it?
That's fantastic. Oh, yeah.
She's a visionary.
Huh?
All right.
Now, you spoke about how the government treated her.
Yes.
And that's what I want to focus on. In 2006, she gives a story. She gets a phone call from the Trade Ministry. And they tell her, please come to the office. So she thinks she's about to be awarded a medal or some honor for the kind of work that she's done. So she puts on her best suit, carries samples of her best drinks, and drives all the way to the ministry. There she gets in, and the first thing the minister tells her is, do you know the drink that you actually produce kills 3 people every single day? And wow, she's like, well, what do you mean? And much later she thinks, oh, if I kill 3 people every single day
in Naivasha,
I probably kill 90 people per month, and probably 90 people per month, if you do the math times 12, it's about 1,080 there.
That's the corona epidemic.
That's the corona epidemic in just 1 month.
Yeah.
You know, it's a mini genocide. But where am I going with this? I think government for a long time has treated indigenous businesses wrong. I remember when, I think last year, when they were hounded in the boots of those Subarus of DCI and taken, because of tax evasion claims. Why am I saying this? It's because if we promote indigenous businesses, we can sort out a lot of problems in this country. So let me give you an example. Our health budget is about $1.2 billion every single year. Now, 35% of that budget is funded by donors.
My gosh.
Right? 28% of it is funded by government. The other percentage is actually it is serviced by private people. Now, if this lady makes about 6 billion shillings a year, if you just take 3% of that sum and say let's say we're going to tax our indigenous businesses just 3% and let's take it to health, we will be saying that 3% of 6 billion shillings is 180 million shillings, Bob, a year. That can tell you, if it takes 8 million shillings to build, or 9 million shillings to build a dispensary, we can build 200 dispensaries in this country, and we can sort out little small diseases that give us problems up to now.
So instead of persecuting indigenous business, government should be finding ways to actually share value and work together.
Absolutely.
But then sadly, this is a recurrent theme. In the series that we've been doing this week, we see that Strive Masiyiwa did face a lot of harassment, drove his headquarters out of Zimbabwe to South Africa. Dangote had to resort to paying and
actually, do you know Dangote
supporting elections?
Yes, Dangote, by the way, for a long time was never ventured into the oil industry. It's only until 2015-2014, and then government actually came and facilitated him to build the first oil refinery in Nigeria. That's what I think we should be.
But that was after having a 30-year head start in comparison to some of the other people we've looked at.
That's
he
true.
got started in the 70s.
Yes,
but the beauty about it is the Central Bank Governor of Nigeria came out to say, if we want our industries to take off, it is time we start promoting and facilitating indigenous businesses.
He should come and undertake sermons here.
By the time she's investing 50 million shillings in Naivasha. Imagine, as you were saying, imagine if we had 4 Keroches.
Multiple, Tabithas around the country. What I really admire about this lady is that she decided to take on the big boy. I mean, East African Breweries Limited, EABL, has been around for 94 years in the country. They have huge volumes, they have huge profits. And just like James Mwangi did in 93, when the company was folding, he decided to take up the challenge. I'm going to turn it around. Tabitha also and her husband decided that we're going to take up this challenge and we are going to get into this industry regardless. So I think this is a modern day David and Goliath business story. According to Carranza, EABL tried to drive her out of the market, not just using orthodox means of taking them to court, but also through very unethical, unorthodox means, including instructing bar owners not to
Yeah.
To sell.
To stock Keroche.
Yeah.
And by instructing, she means bribing. Appointing agents to remove all of Keroche's industries, advertising, including defacing billboards. Back in the day, I think there were those pictures circulating online.
They put black.
Of vandalized billboards.
Yeah.
And then this one is a winner.
Yeah.
EABL patented the brown bottle. Or did something that made it seem like it belongs to a universal bottle belongs to them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the court case is ongoing, but what the situation is that EABL would take back the bottles from the market because they're reusable and emboss it with EABL. So going for as they were progressing all the bottles,
so shameless.
And then they took them to court, Keroche, for using their for using their bottles.
Yeah.
Now universally, beer is bottled in either brown or green bottles that are kind of opaque to shield them from harmful rays or whatever.
Yes.
But EABL, I think,
they're like brown is ours.
Keroche, look for Fanta bottles or something to put your beer in.
Or Ribena.
So regardless of all this, she, as you know, from what we have discussed, she triumphed.
Yes.
And
continues to.
And continues to. So on a day where the Star Celeste gave us a winning cartoon and the Standard gave us a winning headline.
Yes.
I'd like to leave you with this very great quote from Tabitha Carranza herself. She says, "Morocco is at the top of Africa. Until I reach Morocco with Summit, which is one of Keroche's beer brands, and go all the way down to South Africa, I am not stopping. I will never say that I am tired because there's still more ahead." How inspirational is that?
Inspirational. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also on your TV screens on Star Times, Go TV, and Pang free to air. Have a good evening and see you tomorrow.